going to call the meeting of the Madison County Fiscal Court to order. Kenny?
Master King.
Here.
Master Barger.
Here.
Master Hughes.
Here.
Master Combs.
Here.
Judge Clark.
Here. You all have to excuse my language a little bit today. I got real feisty and mowed all day yesterday, and my allergies have kicked in, and I just barely can't open my eyes. First, the approval of the minutes of the last meeting. If y'all have had a chance to look at those and there's no changes or discussion, a motion be in order to approve those as submitted.
So moved. Second.
Master King.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Treasurer's report. Glenda, do you have that today?
Yep. Okay. As of 3/31/2014, our total fund balance was $7,014,068.10. As of 4/30/2014, our total fund balance was $7,165,949.22. As of 4/30/2014, our general fund revenues are at 93.1%. Our expenditures are at 59.4%. Revenues for the road fund are at 90.7%, and our expenditures are 82.4%. Our revenues for the jail fund are at 84.9%, and our expenditures are 83.8%. CSEP is at 24.2 on revenues and 23.1 on expenditures. And our 911 fund is 85.9% on revenues and 75.5% on expenditures. I also passed out a hard copy of the budget for y'all to have. Does anybody have any questions about today's report or anything else?
Sounds like we're keeping on good trends, so it's a good budget.
Everyone's doing good. Also, this report is a public record, so if anyone would like a copy of this report, you're welcome to it. Just contact my office.
Okay, thanks, Glenna. I'd like to amend the agenda to start off with, to add tower grounding enhancements. Carl's been working, he's had some people working all weekend trying to get these in, and he was able to do that yesterday, and it's something that we really need to go on and move on. So with the court's permission, I would like to amend the agenda to include open bids on tower grounding enhancements. If that's okay, we don't think we need to bid. Now, I've also got one claim, but I can do it in the judge's report that we couldn't get in time. Okay, at this time we'll go on, and Carl, I'll just move you to the top because you're going to be real quick and opening the bids. Can you explain to us a little bit about how you went about doing this so quick?
We have two bids here for opening today. I think Mark's already opened them all. They were both originally due on Friday at 4 o'clock. It wasn't looking too good, and so we made some contact through Mission Critical, our consultant that FEMA provided, with the various bidders and said, you know, they're due today at 4 o'clock. How's it looking? They said, we really could use the weekend, and we'd really prefer Monday at 4 o'clock. And we said, well, you realize it's a holiday. I don't know if you can get the mail here. You know, there's no U.S. mail, but we didn't know about FedEx and those types. But they said, we'll get it there if we have Monday at 4 o'clock. So I had someone working Monday to receive the bids, and we got a lot of bids. I think 5 on the obstruction lighting and 3 on the grounding, it looks like. So one of them's not marked, so I'm making an assumption that's what it's for. But so we have 2 bids there for opening. Mark's got them open, and we did get them all by yesterday at 4 o'clock. So.
Mark, let me ask you this. Can they extend that bid time?
I believe so. They contacted everyone that participated in the pre-bid meeting, which is a requirement for the actual bidding process.
For the
correct?
one it was, the other one we didn't make it a mandatory, but we had all the vendors that were interested from the first time we did it, you know, when we didn't get any good bids in. So we knew who the audience was, and we've been using a service through Mission Critical where they put it out to the specialty vendors, and that's how I think we got some of these bids, because some of these companies I've never heard of. So those are like services out there that, you know, if you build a widget X, they keep a listing of all the widget X's that are going to be, you know, being out for bid in the next year. So I think we have accomplished our goal and got everyone that was interested in the bids to bid it.
Well, at least you get some bids.
Yeah, we, you know, pretty big pile. Took 2 trips to bring them in.
Carl, you want to start with the exterior grounding enhancement?
Sure.
I did look at all the bids this morning. They were properly sealed, received within the time as amended that Carl just mentioned. One is from the United States Tire Services. Another bid was from Comtronics. There was actually another document that goes in there. And then finally, the third bid was from Allstate Tower. So those are all of the bids from the tower enhancement.
And this is the grounding, Carl?
Grounding enhancements
Okay.
at all 9 tower sites.
All right, you want to go and move to the next as well?
Sure.
All right, for the tower obstruction lighting systems, the bids, again, which were all properly sealed and received, are from AMK Services, from KGI Wireless, another from KGI Wireless. Sabre Communications Corporation. Again, Comtronics bid on this package as well. And then from United States Tower Services. And I'm sure, Carl, as always, you'll have to spend some time going through, making sure that you're comparing apples to apples, but all the bids were properly received and packaged.
Correct. And Mr. Critical will be helping us go through those bids as well.
I'll just keep this here till the end of the
Yes, sir.
agenda, then we'll get your clerk to the meeting for a little bit.
Go through 'em.
You sign them in. Thanks, Carl. Okay, let's get on into the agenda now. We're happy to have Jeff Rubin here. Jeff has talked to me on several occasions, and several of us have been over to his shop in Berea, and he just requested to come in and speak a few minutes about the impact of aging and why Madison County, our communities, should care. Just briefly, he's 20 years in the field of aging, leading, directing, or developing programs at the local, state, and national level to improve the lives of people as they age. He's an advocate for holistic and self-directing aging. He's often led workshops and facilitated discussions among civil and community leaders, aging, service, and healthcare professionals, and business, religious, and grassroots organizations to address the impact of aging, promote greater inclusion, collaboration, and change. So, Jeff, if you'd like to come up and speak to us for a little bit, would be glad to hear you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me just get this. Let's see. Okay. First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. I spoke to Judge Clark earlier in the month, and I said I was doing a presentation before Berea City Council, invited him to join me, and he said, you know, this is an important enough topic, I'd like you to come and present here today. And when we talk about aging, we talk about an issue that is not just impacting people in this room. It's impacting all of us, all over the country. And we're really not talking about it. And I think the first step in addressing it is to talk about it. I will share with you, I'm a resident of Berea, and I'm also a resident of Madison County. And the subject that I want to talk about is aging. As we all know, everyone is doing it. Most of us don't like to admit it. If we don't discuss it, we can't address its impact. And if not now, when? There was a study done by Kentucky Elder Readiness Initiative at the University of Kentucky. This was done in all 15 area agency on aging communities throughout the Commonwealth. 1,900 families participated in this study. Here's some of the feedback. And they say, overall, we're in a lack of awareness. We're in a state of denial. Okay? You're not talking about me. I'm not aging. I'm not going to need those services. That's a long ways away. I'm okay. I'm well prepared. I'm too busy to think about that. The government will take care of me when the time comes. But the issues say otherwise. The issues we are facing are only going to grow. Roughly 10,000 Americans turn 65 years old every day, and this will continue for many years to come. We have 78 million boomers who are moving towards retirement if they can afford to retire. And 85 plus is the fastest growing age group. What really is significant is that the age population, 65 plus, says will more than double, increasing from 35 million to 71.5 million between 2000 and 2030. We're only talking about 16 years away. Okay. The impact on each of us will be felt socially, emotionally, financially, and ethically. And I start with 4 basic questions, and I'm going to ask you guys to raise your hands, including the audience, if this relates to you. Anybody in this room under the age of 40? Okay. Look around you. Okay. You're in the minority. You're not just in the minority in this room, you're in the minority in this country. For the first time in the history of our society, more people today are over the age of 40 than under. How many old people are there in this room? You guys are in the minority, because every group I ask that, maybe one hand goes up. Okay, I should say, how many people know of any old people? Anybody know any old people? Right. For most of you, it's not you, it's the other fellow. Okay? The definition of aging, by the way, is anyone who's 15 years older than you are. All right. How many people are caregivers or know somebody who is? Okay? The majority of us. And I want to talk about that in a minute. This quote I pulled in because it's been around for over 100 years, attributed to many people from Henry Ford to Harry Truman and a whole host of others. It says a nation, and dare I say our community and our county, is judged on the basis of how it treats its weakest members, the last, the least, the littlest. This was a quote that was taken from a presentation that Pope John Paul II made at an aging Vatican conference in 2004. He talks about dignity and respect for our elders. He says when that breaks down, older people are quickly marginalized and condemned to a loneliness which is a kind of social death. And does not the self-esteem of older people depend in large part on how they are viewed in the family and in society? And I can tell you that people reach a certain age and we shut them off. We say, didn't you used to be so-and-so? Okay? But when you look at the top issues impacting health and wellness among older people, invariably one of the top 3 will be isolation and loneliness. Some national concerns. Nationally, we're talking about the exploding aging population. If we've got 78 million baby boomers and 85 plus is the fastest growing age group, we have what many people and many of my colleagues call a silver tsunami. Okay? Are we prepared for that? There is need for more family caregivers, and I might say need for more educated family caregivers. If it wasn't for caregivers, our healthcare system would be in dire stress. Aging workforce and lost productivity. Okay? The generation that came after the baby boomers, or after the baby boomers, in sheer numbers, can't replace the baby boomers who are leaving the workforce. Increasing number of grandparents raising their own grandchildren, lack of comprehensive planning at the state and local level to help create age-friendly and livable communities. In Kentucky, the issues that we talk about are addressing pending labor force deficits, developing and paying for appropriate models of long-term care, creating and maintaining environments conducive to an aging population, redefining the experience of aging. It's not your grandparents aging. Reconciling and transitioning from current old age to new age old age. You know, you've probably heard the expression 60 is the new 40. You know. We really are different from our parents. And then it's a question of matching visions. We can all talk about what we want to see, that shining beacon on the hill. Governor Beshear, in the 2013-2015 Kentucky State Plan for Aging, said all Kentuckians, regardless of age or ability, will have access to quality services and supports provided in a setting of their choice. What a marvelous statement to make. The Commission on Health. We have to move our view of health care and health benefits from a cost control strategy to an investment strategy. If we invest in health, we get better economic output. So in a time where we are cutting back on services, in some ways we're being penny wise and pound foolish. If we invest in programs that will save in the long run, I think we're really being proactive about this. The reality, because we're not doing this, is we rank 47th on the chronic disease index. We experienced a $22 billion impact in 2003, and we're facing avoidable cost of $18 billion over the next 20 years. Kentucky ranked among the bottom 10 states in the nation in the ranking of healthiest states, adult hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and second in the nation in adult physical inactivity. I looked at the stats on age for Kentucky, Madison, Richmond, and Berea. And one of the things I said is, okay, if nationally they say the majority of this country is 45 or older, let's look at the census tract for Kentucky. Now, they don't break it down 40. They break it down 45 to 54, et cetera, et cetera. So I took 45 and older. Look at that figure to the left of, or to the right of the state of Kentucky. What it's saying is over 40% of our population is 45 or over. If that's the case, how many of them are working? How many of them are working caregivers? And many of them are part of what's called the sandwich generation. They're taking care of children at home, and they're taking care of an aging parent. Okay, for Madison, that figure drops, and logically would because of the university. And Richmond, it drops even more, and Berea goes up a little bit. What I find interesting here in terms of female to male ratio, in Kentucky, it's about even. When you get to Madison, a little more female. When you get to Richmond, even more so, and Berea a little more so. When you go to the 65 and older population, significant increase in female to male, 57 in Kentucky, 56.9 in Madison County, 59% in Richmond, and 57.3 in Berea. But what about the rest of the county? I looked at what, for sake of argument, I would put down rural Madison compared to Richmond and Berea. The rest of the population, the total is 37,718, male, female. If you look at male, female, 65 and older, 54.7% of the population is 65 and older, and 41.1% is 45 and older. So we're above the state average in the county. We're below the state average in Richmond and Berea. However, that 36% for Berea, nationwide, about a third of our population are caregivers. County health trends. The University of Wisconsin, in conjunction with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, just released in April a 5-year study on county health statistics. They rank county by county all across the nation, and they rank county by county in Kentucky. There's about 35 different health factors, and what they finally said for the first time is it's not just chronic illnesses that, or your physical health that's impacting health. It's all sorts of things. It's environment. It's education. It's work. There are literally 35 different indicators. And those indicators come up with what they call health outcomes by county. And then, depending upon those indicators, life expectation in those counties. So I just pulled out in Oldham, which is between Louisville and Cincinnati, ranks number 1 in health outcomes. However, if you look down at physical environment, it ranks 52. Therefore, in terms of quality of life, it ranks number 4. So looking at all the factors that come into play. Fayette ranks 7th, 6th in length of life. Madison County ranks 18th, and Perry County, which is Hazard, ranks 120th. Okay? If you look at the counties which are not on here that surround Madison County, it's dramatically jumps. So Madison County is doing well at 18%. All right, some other Kerry findings, employment findings. 26% of persons who are retired are working or plan to work in retirement. Do we need more jobs? Yes. What happens if the people who are retiring need to work? 67% of persons currently in the workforce plan to work in retirement, and 47% of those cite to have money to make ends meet. 2000 study done on Kentucky Retirement Survey found that 60% of Kentucky retirees had retired earlier than they had planned. 46% said it was due to health reasons. Citizens of the Commonwealth have major concerns over older adult employment, housing, point of entry services, long-term care for persons with disabilities, grandparents raising grandchildren. Here in Kentucky, we've identified 46,000 grandparents who are primary providers for their grandchildren. Transportation is an issue, particularly in rural areas. Support of caregivers and the role of senior centers. Other Curry findings, 2/3 of those surveyed consider that aging of the baby boomers will have a significant or major effect on their community. Almost 2/3 of those surveyed disagree with the statement that their community is actively preparing for the retirement and aging of the baby boomers. And 86% of older adults, 77% of baby boomers, expect to be living in a personal residence at 75. We don't want to exercise, we don't want to do anything about it, but we're going to live in our own home. What kind of impact will that have on us? According to the United States of Aging Survey, this is a new study that was done in 2013. Many seniors still lack confidence in their community's preparedness. Many adults aged 18 to 59 do not think their community is doing enough. And seniors said their community should invest more in public transportation, affordable health care, and affordable housing. So you're talking about locally, you're talking about statewide, and you're talking about nationally. There was a study done on informal caregiving, 2012. Almost 66 million caregivers, almost 30% of the U.S. adult population, provide care to someone who is ill, disabled, or aged. The service value, $450 billion annually. 72% of caregivers cared for a parent. 70% of working caregivers suffer work-related difficulties due to their dual caregiving roles. Now, if I'm a working caregiver and I'm on the job and mom broke her hip, I'm trying to figure out where to turn for resources and services to help mom. And if I'm doing it while I'm on the job, what does it mean in terms of job productivity? And there's a lot of lost productivity, and it says absenteeism costs the U.S. economy an estimated $25.2 billion in lost productivity, and the cost of informal caregiving in terms of lost productivity to U.S. businesses is anywhere between $17 and $33 billion annually. Bring this down to your particular profession and the employees that work for you. Any of them caregivers, any of them need to take time off from work or come in late or leave early because of an issue related to mom or dad. Another piece that I think is significant, because this is an issue that we're talking about all over the country, is the impact of falling down. This is a stat that was in the New York Times in 2009, and it really put it in perspective. Falls are so harmful to the elderly and so costly to society that if falling were a disease, it would be deemed an epidemic. 1 out of 3 elders 65 or over wind up being hospitalized as a result of a fall. When they reach 75, it's 1 out of 2. So let's look at it in terms of cost. Over a 10-year period in Kentucky, there were 68,000 and change in terms of residents 65 plus who were admitted to hospitals for fall-related injuries. 75% of whom were female. The charges over a 10-year period were 26,000 and change. In 2012, that same average hospitalization charge was $37 million, with a cumulative cost of $281 million. Now, what's interesting is over 47% of those discharged did not go home. They went to skilled nursing care. Another 15% were transferred to rehab. Another 9.5% required home health care. And those who require home health care required for 6 months or more. In Madison County, over the same period of time, 628 residents, 65 plus, were admitted. Again, 75% of whom were female. Over a 10-year period, the cost was $27,000. In 2012, that same cost was $37,800, with a cumulative year cost of $3.1 million. Again, over 43% were discharged to skilled nursing care, another 14.5% were transferred to rehab, another 10.3% required home health care. Now, what's interesting is that's only the tip of the iceberg, because how many people fall and don't want to go to the hospital and don't record it? So there are many more people who are isolated and alone and fall that we don't ever hear about. Now, when you talk about falling, it's not just the elderly. If you look at the stats across the board, it's usually number 1, 2, or 3 among any age group. But it also is impacting the workplace. In 2007, more than 17% of disabling work injuries were caused by falls. 15% of all accidental deaths are caused by falls, second only to motor vehicle accidents. It's an issue. So, how do we change that? Change begins with you. Most risk factors for chronic disease can be prevented or modified to improve health. Citizens, providers, and policymakers need to initiate change, and local communities often lack the information and knowledge they need to take action. This was through the United Health Foundation and Trust for America's Health 2009 study. I want to share with you a county cuts healthcare costs. This was an article that was in USA Today. So the county government in Pontiac, Michigan spent $400,000 a year to promote better health for its employees. After several years of double-digit increases in health insurance costs, the county's costs declined nearly 12% over 2008 and 2009. He said, we can't attribute it all to the program, but it's almost unheard of to have health care costs go down. Their program had a dual purpose: stop rising health insurance costs and encourage employees to take charge of their well-being. He said, when you consider health insurance costs for your company, organization, and people you employ or serve, consider the return on the investment. Again, could we afford? We can't afford to pay. Can we afford not to pay? Building healthier communities. This is from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, 2013. It says what we need to do to build healthier communities, and I would say age-friendly communities, we need to have cross-sector collaboration. It's considered necessary for building healthier communities. Cross-sector collaboration. We do a great job of talking among our own silos, but we don't do a good job of talking cross-silo. 3 factors most strongly influence success: leadership, mutual respect, and understanding. Community engagement is an important function of leadership, as you all well know. Lack of resources, shared vision, skilled leadership, and mutual understanding and trust can create barriers to successful collaboration. Now, Bowling Green is embarked on an age-friendly community initiative through the World Health Organization. I found out about them. I called the Kentucky League of Cities, and I said, is anybody that you know of at the city level doing anything about a comprehensive planning around aging? They knew of none. I had to find out through colleagues that there was a woman who's with the Western Kentucky University, their Center on Aging, on Geriatrics, and she put an initiative together with the city of Bowling Green where they're petitioning the World Health Organization to become an age-friendly city. There's a number of things you have to do. Madison County was involved in this when it came to safe cities. We won the designation for safe cities, 4 or 5 years ago. But the initiative, it turns out that Bowling Green was the first city in Kentucky and the only city in the South to apply for this designation. Subsequently now, Lexington is looking at this and Louisville is looking at this. But the initiative seeks to move Bowling Green a better place to grow old by promoting an age in everything lens across all aspects of city life. The initiative is part of the World Health Organization Age Friendly Cities Project, collaborative effort between WKU Aging and the city of Bowling Green. And Bowling Green, as I said, is the only city in the South to take the lead in developing it. There was a quick video here on what the city fathers had to say about the initiative, but I'll save that for another time. Give you some examples of what can be done. New York City, just a year ago, petitioned to become an age-friendly initiative. I'm not equating Madison County to New York City, but I am saying that take a look at the types of things that they're looking at in terms of helping to educate community. They talk about age-friendly ambassadors who help connect older adults to local resources and advocate for concerns raised by neighbors. They talk about an Age Smart Employer Award, honors employees who value workers of all ages. The Age Friendly Local Business Initiative shows businesses how to market themselves to an older population. Talk about age-friendly schools, colleges, and universities that can be engaged in helping to make this a better place to live. I have with me a friend of mine who's a professor at EKU, and we were talking about, what department are you in?
Psychology.
Psychology department. We were talking about the school getting behind this and making EKU a age-friendly university and tap into the resources of that university to assist in creating an age-friendly community. Lastly, Age-Friendly Technology Initiative aims to further integrate older adults into society and reduce social isolation by working to increase access, capacity, and knowledge of technology among these populations. What I can tell you is there are all sorts of initiatives out there that can impact this. But until we talk about the issues, we're not going to be able to look at what there is out there to address it. The last thing I wanted to say on this was there was a disaster preparedness and response initiative. You guys know more better than I do about what's taking place, but what they were encouraging is to collaborative, engage multiple stakeholders to create better formal and informal support systems for older adults, cultivate improved community-based networks to protect older adults, engage older adults in non-governmental agencies not traditionally involved in emergency planning, and identify best practices, generate recommendations, and mobilize key partners to implement response plans for older adults, people with disabilities, and other vulnerable populations that include effective risk communication, timely identification of individuals in need, equitable deployment of resources, and multi-sector and multi-agency coordination of volunteers and services. I know about Safety City. I know that many of your staff is involved with it. Question is, how many elders are part of that initiative? The recommendations that I made to Berea, I said that we form a committee of Berea's public agencies, businesses, culture, education, religious institutions, community groups, and individuals to consider how changes to policy and practice can create a city more inclusive of older adults and more sensitive to their needs. We petition the World Health Organization to become part of the Age-Friendly Cities Project. We include young people in the planning as part of a multi-generational community project, and we consider hosting a regional festival in 2015 encompassing talks, workshops, dance, fitness, comedy, films, art, music, and theater, celebrating the spirit and opportunity of aging. Because aging should not be viewed as a burden to society, because the most abundant resource we have is human capital. And if we exclude elders from the issues that we're facing, and we don't say, what do you think? Shame on us. We're missing the boat. But the two ends of the spectrum that are usually shunted aside are the young and old. And so this has to be intergenerational in terms of what we're looking at. I also want to say one other thing in terms of the World Health Organization. When we received that designation as a safe cities community, I was at the presentation. Judge Clark was there, and many of you, the two mayors from Berea and Richmond, and two representatives from the World Health Organization at the high school here, and half of that audience was empty. Where were the other people who are stakeholders in this? I don't see where this reached out to the larger companies that are part of Madison County, and people didn't recognize what an impact that could have had on health and insurance risks. We could have reduced the cost of health care insurance business by business just by saying we're part of a World Health Organization designation as a safe cities. But, it got play, it was in the paper, and you never heard about it again. And you ask people today, and they don't have a clue that we were part of that designation. I was proud that we were. We were the first county in Kentucky and one of 186 counties in the world to receive that designation. We didn't do anything with it. And we still have an opportunity between that and this age-friendly initiative to really stand out. And I believe cut costs, generate jobs, and help people. And that's what this is all about. So I leave it to you to say, what are the next steps? Right? I'm coming to you today to say, look, the city of Berea unanimously endorsed my recommendations. they're in the process of, the mayor has asked me to submit a list of people I want on a committee. He's going to add his names, and then we're going to go to the next step. Even though this says, the World Health Organization says this is an AIDS-friendly cities initiative, this impacts all of us. It also is an opportunity to bring all of us closer together. So to me, I'm asking you guys to look at this in terms of an AIDS-friendly Madison County and what that might look like. And I'm going to ask for your support to underwrite some of the cost to do this. But that's my story. I'm sticking to it. And if you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Questions? I wanted Jeff to go because I know Berea was very serious about the concept and wanted all you all to hear it instead of just me. And Jeff, if you don't mind to put something together exactly like you're doing for Berea and just give us the opportunity to look at it. Also, look at, you know, what we need to do is look at, you're talking about underwriting cost. And we need to see a breakdown of that completely on where every penny went, and then what you would expect from the county, because this could be something that, you know, we could do, we can consolidate and do jointly with the cities, with the two cities, you know, if the cost wasn't unreasonable.
Right.
So we appreciate you coming in and talking to us about this, and it's something that we can follow up on, especially if Berea decided unanimously to follow up on it. And I'll talk to Steve, and then, you know, maybe Jimmy would like for you to come. I'll talk to him and give the same presentation to the city
Okay.
and see if it's something that we could do, you know, as a collaboration between all three governments.
I think it makes perfect sense if we can do that.
But we appreciate you coming
Thank
in.
you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Okay.
And if you put that information together and get it to me,
I will.
then we'll talk again.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Okay, next on the agenda is approved payroll for the election workers. And as always, I think they did an excellent job this time. And Kenny, did we have any major problems other than a few people didn't realize what precinct they were in or something?
Well, and whether or not they lived in the city, that was the two problems we had, but it went pretty smoothly. Turnout here in Madison was 24.1, statewide was 27, so we were a little below statewide turnout. The cost this year is $28,602.26. That's about $8,000 less than
That's
what
down, yeah.
what we spent in the general for the presidential election. So we're in the process now of trying to compare apples to apples, see how much we're really saving per election, see where we're going to go next with the poll workers are interested in raising the pay a little bit. We're one of the lower paying counties in the state. So I'll get a report together and come back to you all on that pretty soon.
Okay, that'd be great. That's excellent, though. So a motion be in order to approve the payroll for the election workers.
So moved.
Second.
Magistrate King?
Yes.
Magistrate Barger?
Yes.
Magistrate Hughes?
Yes.
Magistrate Combs?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes. Next on the agenda is the 1415 County Road Aid Agreement. And this is just a resolution adopting and approving the execution of a county road aid co-op program contract between the Fiscal Court and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. We do it every year. I'd like to ask the court's permission to participate in the emergency funding, which takes 3% and goes in a pool. And once you do that, you're eligible to tap into that pool at any time, and it doesn't have to just be the 3% that you contribute. It could be 5 or 6 times that, depending on the emergency situation that we would have. This is, it's something we do every year. Our total, I think, $1.7,739,093, and of course we get part of that as soon as the fiscal year starts, and then another part in the winter, and then the balance of it we'll get about a month before the end of the fiscal year. But it's a good program. It's gone up, and it's comes from the gas tax and it's based on the road miles that the county has. So I would like to have the court's permission to authorize me to enter into the county road aid cooperative agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. We've already opened the bids on the tower lighting, and Carl will have those back at the next meeting. Carl, you want to come on up and talk to us about the incidental specific plan for CSEP, please?
Incident-specific plan, I don't know if Francet was able to get the whole thing, this is it, to download into your Dropbox. Did
It's
it-
on
did it
there.
fit?
It's in there.
Okay. I was hoping it would work. We put this together as a collaborative effort between all three governments. The people that participated were all the police departments. I can't thank you enough, Sheriff, for you and Sam Manley, who actively got engaged with us on it. Eastern Kentucky's Police Department from the university, Berea College Public Safety, all the fire departments, Madison County Schools, Berea Schools, Baptist Health, St. Joe Hospital in Berea, as well as EMS, the Health Department, and Rescue Squad. So that was our team of people that helped put this together. We were the authors, just like we did with the Emergency Operations Plan, the big one. We're the first CSEP county to get ours done. Ours is up at the state for concurrence. They don't approve it. They just concur that you've followed all the rules when you put it together. I'm expecting that letter back anytime. City of Berea's already adopted it at their last council meeting. Like you guys to adopt this, we've structured it such that it talks about what we do, how we do it. And this is like the 30,000-foot view. How we do individual tasks, those are in implementing guidelines by position. So, like law enforcement and fire, they have implementing guidelines that tell them how to do all these things. But this is more for your guys' knowledge of how the overall picture would look. And it's also, it keeps all of us 10 CSEP counties together because everyone's kind of going to follow ours. So since the depot is here and we have the largest risk, this allows the other counties to know how we're going to handle things on a large picture. So I'd like your guys' approval of this document so we can move forward and have this particular item taken care of.
Hopefully, we'd never have to utilize this
Hopefully
thing.
not, but obviously it's, better to have a plan that, the team has put together, and it gives everyone an idea of what our overarching goals are, and that's what this does. Like I said, when you want to get into where we're going to set up field decon and traffic control, that's in the implementing guidelines. It doesn't belong in this book. This is the higher level things that we're going to do those things, and we'll do them in the appropriate places. But this is something that the state felt was necessary to have. In the old setup of documents and things, there was an appendix that used to do this, and then when they went away from that old format, there was nothing left. There was kind of a gap there in the big plan, so this was to fill that gap. So we think we've done a good job with it. We've had a lot of positive feedback, and we've had a sit-down meeting with all the other 10 counties and the state on this plan, and everyone's got a copy of it, and they're trying to fill in where they can help us with these activities.
It sure is lengthy.
Well, this is actually shorter than you would have thought.
Still haven't got to the bottom of it yet.
Well, read the first 41 pages. Those are the most important for you.
Thank you for the tip.
Okay.
Just remember, between this plan and the old plan, the old plan was 1,200 pages. Everything we've gotten out that replaced it is less than 250. So we've cut it down by 1,000 or so pages, roughly, Larry, just so you could sleep easier at night.
That's good.
Okay, unless some of you all want to take it home again for another week and look at it.
We've had it a week, Judge, but still not through.
Motion will be in order to approve on Carl's
So
recommendation.
move.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Next is first reading of our 14-15 Madison County budget. We have spent a whole lot of time on this. It's just broke down. Of course, this is first reading. The second reading will be in 2 weeks. The magistrates and I have sat down and gone over it pretty much. We've described to them each and every change from last year. And it's very similar. I mean, you look at the CSEP, this year's 18,101,000. Last year it was 18,700,000. So pretty much stays where it is. General fund, just about exactly what it was last year. Our one positive thing was our occupational tax has been on a growth spell the last 4 or 5 years, and a lot of that you got to contribute out to Bechtel, where they're continuing the construction and the systemization. So, the general fund is $15,196,000. The road fund, which is really funny, it's $3.6 million, and 20 years ago the whole county budget was about that. Jail fund is $2.542 million. The CSEP fund is $18 million, and then the 911 is $1.7 million. So this year's total budget is $42,044,000. We think it's a good budget. We've cut where we can cut. I don't think we've ever wasted any money whatsoever. And I would be glad to open the floor up to the magistrates or any first, and then I'd open up to the general public. Now that the first reading has come to court and everybody is available to have a copy of that, we couldn't do it before until we all got together and on an individual basis and went over it. But I'd open the floor if anybody has any questions, and we'll do the same thing on second reading.
Judge, I just want to tell you I appreciate you calling us in one at a time going over it. I know everybody had a little different feeling about different stuff, and I think it's the best way to handle it, and I thought you're doing a good job, and I want to commend you for that.
Thank you, Larry.
You were talking about budgets. First budget that I ever sat in on, 1981, was $890,000. Wasn't even $1 million. We've come a long way.
Yeah, there's a lot more intense, a lot more departments. I think back then we had maybe 3 departments. We've got 13 now. Had 3.
I feel like we had plenty of money then.
But everything's really good, and I think we've addressed each and every issue dealing with the county. We've put money in here, as Richmond has, to start addressing the problem with managing our emergency management department when CSEP goes away. But I think that the 3 governments will get together and come up with a solution to that, but we're not taking any chances right now. So we have pretty much covered anything and everything that might come about in 14 and 15 for us. And if there are no further questions, motion be in order to approve first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Thank y'all very much. I've got one claims list here that we couldn't get on the thing, and I'll ask Leroy. It was just one of those special deals. It was a GMC one-owner truck with 60-something thousand miles on it that came available for $11,500. Leroy, y'all are using the truck, aren't you?
I've not used it. I've not got the plates and stuff for you.
Okay, but you've checked it out, driven it, and it's excellent, exactly what you need. Okay, so if y'all are okay, I'd like a motion and a second to approve a claim to Carter, Kentucky for a 2007 one-owner GMC with 60,000 miles on it.
Is this just a pickup truck?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. That's all I had in the judge's report. We'll open it up for comments from department heads, if anybody. Carl, do you have anything else?
Just, I gave you guys a set of pictures just over the last couple of weeks of things that were going on at the EOC. The first picture there is in the main foyer there, and that was week 1 where they were just getting started. And I'll do this periodically if you guys like this idea. Picture number 2 is week 1 again, when they, that's what the EOC looks like. Well, it doesn't look like that good now, but that's when they were stripping out stuff in the Emergency Operations Center room itself. That third picture is also week 1. That's between the seed room and where all the electronics are at, and the emergency operations center room. And then that next picture is week 2. That's upstairs on the second floor, where we had the assistant chief's office, several CSEP offices, and one of the bunk rooms for female firefighters. And you can see that's completely been gutted. And next picture's upstairs bathrooms. And I don't know if that was the men's or the women's, but and then the next picture is the lowest level where we had 6 CSEP personnel in those office spaces there. They've got all those walls. Basically, all the non-weight-bearing walls are gone. The only thing left to remove now is weight-bearing walls, and they've got to do their shoring and all that first.
The relocation to the 3 different locations, that's going well?
It's a challenge every day. But we're doing well, and we're keeping the EOC manned, and we're always able to handle if something were to come up. But it is a challenge being in 2 cities and 3 buildings. When you're used to being side by side and being able to yell, Greg, I need this, and Greg runs over and looks at it with you. And now it's, make a call, and someone may have to drive if you can't scan it and send it kind of thing. And then the next picture is the rescue bay. It's all been gutted and cleaned up. And then the other pictures are just the outside and the fascia brickwork keeps happening every day. We're making pretty good progress on that. But I just thought it might help you guys appreciate what's going on over there. And like I said, every month or so, I'll bring you another little snapshot of it.
Okay, that's great, Carl, thanks very much. And any of y'all welcome, if you want to call Carl and catch him when he's over here to tour the site, go through and see what's going on. It'd be better if, once they get started doing the good stuff instead of doing all the bad stuff right now. Any other department heads?
Yeah, I'd like to mention
Wayne.
something, Judge.
Kenny?
I'll go ahead while Dwayne's coming up. I'd like to thank the road department again. Without Leroy and those guys, we wouldn't be able to put an election on. They give us almost 2 full days to deliver and pick up all the machines. I'd also like to thank the board, which is Chandler Combs, Wanda Dean, and Shannon Pennington is filling in for Sheriff Cole. They do an excellent job, and any discussion that comes up is not about whose party's whose or who's trying to get an advantage. It's all about what's good for the election, what's good for the county. And I also like to thank my staff. We put a lot of hours in on this election with the redistricting changes, and we made some improvements on the day of that really helped this time, so I want to thank them. It was really, election night we were done, finished up at 7:30, so it really went well. All the precinct officers did a good job bringing everything back. We had 1 sheriff's report that didn't get returned, was all that it didn't come back in the election night, so it all went well.
That's great, thanks, Kenny, y'all did an excellent job.
Thank you.
Dwayne?
Just had a couple things to throw out to you. I'll get you a hard copy of our report, but just want to give you an update on construction activity in the county. April and May finally picked up. I think the winter months threw everybody into a tailspin. We've been extremely slow the first part of the year, but April and May's picked up. Compared same time periods, January to May of 13 to January through May up to today. In estimated construction costs, last year we issued permits for $4.8 million worth of construction, and this year it's been $8.2 million. We're seeing a slightly less number of permits, but the estimated cost of the projects is considerably more. So we're up in all of our permits. May alone, May of 13, we issued permits for $1.9 million worth of construction, and May of this year it was $2.6 million. So it's jumped up considerably. We are seeing an increase in permit activity, and construction's picking up quite a bit. Just an FYI, our comprehensive plan is due to be renewed by 2015. So I was going to start the Planning Commission actually this month, just beginning to look at the different elements of it, because it takes a good year to get through all the different aspects of the comp plan, and so we'll be working on that, and I'll make sure you're included in the information that we're discussing and the information that's pulled together on that end of it. But we'll plan to do that in-house and save the county some money on that as well. A couple other things is we're cleaning up some of this vacant abandoned property. We've got one piece of property on Tates Creek down near Valley View that we had cleaned up, forced the sale of the property through the Master Commissioner's sale back in 2011. And so the county owns that property, and I just want to bring that to your attention if it's something that the court wants to offer up for sale, because it's sitting, it's overgrown right now. No, we've not even been maintaining it at this point. At the time, there was several abandoned mobile homes on it that was just being used as a dumping ground. So we got all that cleaned up, but if you wanted to offer that up for sale or auction that property off, just want to remind you of that. And then we've got 2 or 3 other properties that we've been cleaning up for years. The amount that we're putting on the property as far as liens go is not a tremendous amount of money, but it's laying there with no property taxes being paid on it, and it's incurring cost every year for us to continue to maintain it. So if those are properties that you'd be interested in doing the same that we did on Tates Creek and forcing the sale to relieve our liens and to get the property putbacks on the tax records, then just let me know and I'll get the information to Mark or Jubal, whomever needs it.
On that note, Judge, the amount that we're putting back to mow these lots and everything, we may need to step that up. I noticed it. I think it was only $5,000 we've got in there for that. Before
We're looking at that. I've got a request for all that data from Dwayne from last July.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give it to him, and when I get that in, we'll take a look at what we're doing, and then we might have to, but I also want to look at all these properties that we have cleaned up and go on and see if we can't put them,
Sure.
get somebody, put them up for sale. I mean, they're not doing us any good.
Right.
And get that burden, even if, if we lose money on it, just to get rid of them.
Okay.
The only other thing, and this doesn't fall in my department, but I've gotten a couple of phone calls from property owners that live down Simpson Lane since McDonald's has closed there at Boonesboro. The big trucks that don't frequent that way very often, they pull in there expecting to wheel into McDonald's and turn around. But McDonald's has their parking lot completely barricaded off, so the trucks head on down Simpson Lane thinking they can turn around. There's no turnaround down through there. I don't know if you guys want to see a sign put up there to help maybe deter the trucks from going on further down the road there. That's just,
Leroy, don't we have no trucks signs up there? I think, Dwayne, we've got them up because we had that problem even when McDonald's was open.
that Jackson Environmental is complaining. They moved in the old lab building that John Sword owns. The trucks are getting down to that curve and backing into their driveway and tearing the edge of their driveway up. And there was a kind of a showdown there Friday. A truck was wanting to back in there, and they were trying to prevent them from backing the truck in there. So just a heads up.
We'll check the signage again, but I know we had that same problem before. Any other department heads? Chief Scott, Leroy. If not, comments from magistrates. Greg?
It's a couple meetings ago, we talked about when the state people was here, the hill there on 52, and they done putting up signs, done getting to work, and I appreciate their quick endeavor to get there and try to take care of the problem. I don't know what they're doing, but I do know there's action on it, so I appreciate them for what they do. Appreciate all of our staff for what they do, and everybody that works here. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Greg. Roger?
Only thing I got is about the election signs that were out. I just hope in the fall that we can do a better job somehow between the candidates of keeping your signs off the right-of-ways and stuff. I think it got a little hairy at the end about everybody putting their signs out, and it wasn't just one. I think it was a number of them, but I don't know who we contact to enforce that. I know there wasn't much enforcement this time, but with the number of signs and the ditch lines, so I think this looks bad on the county. I think they need to stay on the property where they're supposed to be.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I talked to Brandon, and he was informed kind of from higher-ups that they weren't going to waste a whole lot of man-hours because a lot of this was, if you take them down the next morning, they're back up. So you'd kind of have to designate a two-man crew just to drive the roads of the county, just to take them up.
And the other thing, it's not the candidate sometimes, it's people that's helping you with your campaign that does it, but it's the candidate's responsibility to kind of drive around and make sure they put them where they're supposed to be.
State roads were the worst I've seen this
That's
year.
right.
Really were. It's a good comment, Roger.
That's all I
Thanks.
got.
Bill Ray?
Any update on the state highway agreement? Was it renegotiating or?
I'm meeting at 1:30 this afternoon at District 7. And I will let you all know if there is any wiggle room, and maybe, we can do a contingency, like if we go over so much. I don't know what he's got, and we might have to go on to the Secretary Hancock, and talk about this, because I know the Secretary is very, very enthused about this program, and it just carries over because it's such a great program for the residents of the county. But, if it gets to the point where we can't afford it, then we just can't do it. So I'm meeting with James at 1:30, and then we'll make a decision. If he can't, he'll check with Mike, Secretary Hancock, and if not, he and I will go down and meet with he and Commissioner Pasley. So we should have something pretty quick.
I thought that presentation by Chuck Rubin was pretty interesting when he talked about the different counties and, you saying that Madison County is the best place to live, work, raise a family, and retire. Well, maybe Oldham County's looks like they might have the edge
Well,
on it.
Oldham is pretty much, they don't have any jobs. It's a bedroom community for Louisville. So the only thing they do, they've got nice people with nice jobs living there and not doing anything else.
Well, at least we're not Perry County, I'll tell you that. That's,
Be careful now, don't be talking about somebody.
Larry, did you have anything?
No, but I think that is a good deal. That might give you just a little leverage for us down there. And I've always said, I thought you could work it out, so I
Yeah.
got confidence in you, Judge. I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Next meeting will be here June 10th, and we'll go on and do, if any of you all want another meeting on the budget, have any problems with it, please just call. We'll make that available at any time. And so that'll be June 10th here, and then a motion would be in order to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So move.
Second.
Master King?
Yes.
Master Barger? Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes, thank everybody for coming in. We appreciate a crowd. Motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
Aye.